Hi everybody, good morning again from the Capitol. Nicole and I are legitimately coming at you live from the Capitol today in Helena, and we are kind of stowed away in the Supreme Court chambers. It's one of the quieter areas, but there's going to be some traffic going in and out, so bear with us if we have any cameo appearances on the video today.
We already invited one, but he didn't take us up on that offer.
So, C1, would you like to join us? No.
Nope.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. So while everybody's joining, again, please make sure you give us a shout out. Let us know where you're watching from so that we know who you are, where you're watching from, what your questions might be. So as people join, we thought we might flip the camera around and give you a little bird's eye view of the old Supreme Court chambers in the Capitol here. So I'll go ahead and flip it around just so we can show you where we are in the building. So you can see those tables down there are usually where committee members will sit when they're having committees in the room. Back there, of course, is where all of us sit when we're here testifying on bills. So it's another really big, beautiful room in the Capitol. I'll tilt you up just maybe a little bit if I can. I hope this doesn't make anybody dizzy, sorry. But really big, beautiful windows. Again, lots more paintings and that was fast. Sorry. Every place of every room in the Capitol has those really big paintings. Sorry, it's a little out of focus there. So we'll put you back now. You're also very precariously perched on the edge of the railing, so we hope we don't get caught by the Sergeant of Arms because they don't really like it when you do this. So we might go to legislative jail today. We'll see.
No one's in the gallery below, though, so if the phone falls, you'll just see a very fast fall and hopefully not break.
Hopefully it's like a roller coaster, but nobody gets sick.
So you probably read on the title that this is transmittal week. It's a little different than usual because usually the Senate and the House get to transmittal at about the same time. And it's always on the 45th day, which is the halfway point. First, we should tell you what transmittal is. It's the deadline that all general bills have to have passed out of their committee, onto the floor, past second reading, and past third reading, which is the final okay, basically, and in order to be sent to the next House. So there were a lot of bills in the last week that had to be rushed through, and today the Senate is on the floor. They started at 8 o'clock and they're going back in at 11, and then they'll also have another board this afternoon at 1, which they usually only have one at 1 o'clock. So that just shows you how many bills have gotten to them and that are now rushing to get done, because actually the Senate is hoping to break on Saturday. Then today is actually the 41st day, but the House will stay in session, so it still counts as legislative days taking place. So they hope to get done, the Senate hopes to get done by Saturday. The House is still working through bills in committee today. The Senate had no committee hearings. And they are hoping to be done, we've heard, by Tuesday, but most likely Wednesday. So they will also work through all of their stuff, get it across the floor in the House so it can be sent to the Senate, and then they'll adjourn on the 45th day for the transmittal break. And then they will most likely be out of Helena until the following Monday. So very busy time. We've got lots of bills to tell you about, and we have some updates from you too. We see that Laura is watching from Big Timber, and it's snowy. I don't want to hear that. I'm hoping to drive home tonight, and I've heard the roads are really bad, so we'll see. Well, one reason we were a little late signing in today is we're watching really closely some action that's going on the floor, and so if any wild things happen, like we get a text message and we have to go, one of us will finish up. But I'll let Chelsea tell you about some bills, and then I'll tell you about a bill that we're watching for on the floor.
Yeah, so like Nicole said, very busy week. If you're just joining us, it's transmittal week here in Helena. Again, comment, let us know where you're joining us from. Sorry if the video is very glary. I'm noticing that light behind us, the window.
It's our angelic glow.
Yeah, it's our
really.
halos. It's our little Farm Bureau halos. So we had a lot of bills up this week. It was very, very busy. So I'll tell you about a few of them pretty briefly. Again, there was a couple of them that have some pretty big impacts to our egg industry. The first of those was Senate Bill 247, which we heard in Senate Ag on Tuesday. Senate Bill 247, we talked about it briefly last week. There was a question about it, and it is a bill that would ban the use of neonicotinoids in... Thanks, Allison.
Thanks for tuning in and the kind words.
Yeah. Sorry. So Senate Bill 247 would ban the use of neonicotinoids in the state of Montana. Neonicotinoids are a class of insecticides that are used to treat the seeds of agricultural crops. I mean, they're used outside of the egg industry, they're used in the nursery industry and in landscaping as well, too. We treat a lot of crops with them: spring wheat, field peas. It's a cameo. Everybody say hi to Bruce. Bruce, we're on Facebook Live. So you're talking to all of the Farm Bureau members that have Facebook. Guys, this is Bruce. He's a sergeant at arms here in the Capitol and is really a treat to our day.
One of our favorites.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thanks for making an appearance.
You guys make me.
We use that class of insecticide to treat the seeds so that when they go in the ground, they resist the plant, or they resist pests and disease. It's a very effective means of treatment. Banning this very widespread use of insecticide around the state would be super detrimental to agriculture. Sorry guys, this is a little precarious setup we got today. Bear with us.
We're good.
Would really be detrimental to agriculture because we utilize it for so many applications. And it's not an insecticide that private applicators, Farmer Joe and John can go get a pesticide license to use. It's something that's commercially applied, usually by seed dealers or commercial pesticide dealers. And so we opposed that bill. There was a lot of very strong opposition to that bill in the Senate Agriculture Committee. A couple fun facts about it just to provide some information for you all. This has really been something that's been in the spotlight because it's been linked to impacts with pollinators, like honeybees, and some try to link it directly to colony collapse disorder, meaning when the colonies just basically disappear and there's not a real good scientific indication of why. However, we know that this is not the sole cause. I did some research on this before the hearing, and USDA has data stemming back into the 1880s about colonies virtually disappearing with no scientific reason. And there's documented history of this well through the turn of the century and into current times, happening as early as like 1992 in Philadelphia, where they lost Pennsylvania, the state, where they lost 50% of their colonies, and they couldn't figure out why. And what's important to note about neonicotinoids, otherwise called neonics, are that they've only been available for use in the United States since the 1990s. It's not something that's been very widespread. So there's not very conclusive science stating that that's what links it to colony collapse. Additionally, we have another pest called the varroa mite that has been linked to cause serious problems for pollinators in the United States as well.
Bad bug.
Very bad bug. Again, the European Union banned the use of that insecticide neonics 2 years ago, and it has caused devastating impacts to their farming economy. In fact, so much so that they are actually considering repealing the ban on the neonicotinoids in the European Union now. It's something that they're deciding, and they're looking at research and the science associated with what led to the ban in the first place, because their alternatives aren't working. They have not seen any positive impacts to their pollinator populations, and farmers are suffering because of it. So we just think that it's something that there's not conclusive science on, and until there is, a widespread ban is not the answer. Secondly, another bill that I'll talk about really quickly was Senate Bill 281, which Senator Chaz Vincent carried.
We have a visitor. Give us a wave.
Hey, there he is.
Hi, Senator Thomas.
Senator Thomas. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys heard him or not. He said hello, Farm Bureau. So we like Senator Thomas. Everybody give him a high five if you see him in the hall. Second bill that I'll talk about real quickly, Senate Bill 281, Senator Chaz Vincent carried it, and it reallocated some of the money in the wildfire suppression fund. It does not add a new appropriation. It doesn't request more money to be spent. All it does is say that in every odd numbered year, so basically every 2 years, when that account has over $40 million in it, it has to be $5 million of that money has to be allocated towards things like forest management, fire suppression, another cameo, and forest management, wildfire suppression activities, and basically being proactive instead of reactive to wildfires in the state of Montana. So that was a good bill because we support very, proactive, responsible forest management, because we all know how devastating wildfires can be in our state. So that's another one we'll be following and keep you updated on. And we have some more updates about the floor today. So
yeah. Well, first, we'll start with some lighthearted bills.
Oh yeah.
There were, well, I don't know if it's lighthearted or not, but we all know how devastating and problematic noxious weeds are in this state and the whole country, really. And this session, there's been a lot of effort made to find some ways to help stop that problem. And this week, 2 different noxious weed bills were introduced that provide some funding to help combat these weeds, combat the spread in a couple different ways. So first is House Bill 410 from Representative Shaw. And that bill adds a couple dollars onto vehicle registration, and that money goes to the Noxious Weed Trust Fund, which will then be used to control noxious weeds out in the counties. So, I know it's maybe you don't want a couple bucks added on to your registration, but this is a way to spread the cost of fighting this very serious environmental problem around, and to help be able to put some real money on the ground to help stop the spread. So that's a good one. It's moving through the process. There's also House Bill 343 or 434. My dyslexia gets me on numbers sometimes.
Hopefully our
but
Facebook Live
hopefully
coach
Laura is on top of this. It's from Representative Kelly Flynn. And this is a really different approach to weed control. He actually creates an account within Fish, Wildlife, and Parks that uses some license dollars and some Pittman-Roberts funds to be able to improve wildlife habitat by fighting weeds. And so we know that's good for the environment as a whole, and for livestock as well. So another interesting way of prioritizing the management of noxious weeds, and that bill had a hearing on the same day as the other weed bill. It was there was a whole bunch of bills that day. Otherwise, I would say it was Noxious Weed Day, but there were many others on Wednesday. That was a really swamp day. But it also is moving through the process, so check that out. If you have any questions on that or any other bills, let us know. I guess we haven't paused to ask that, but considering there are only 3 of you watching at this minute, might not be that many questions out there.
2 of you haven't told us where you're watching from.
Mystery watchers. We don't often, or this might be one that you wouldn't expect to hear that we supported, but this year at our convention, some very passionate members came in and asked to include a policy in our policy book that supports the use of lighted nocks. What is a lighted knock, you might ask? Well, it's just a little contraption that you put on the end of an arrow for hunting, and when you put the arrow onto the string and pull it back, it activates the light in the arrow, and it's on the back by the parts that help it fly straight. And
it's very technical.
Yes. So there's a lot of debate in that subject from the sportsmen themselves, because some are the traditionalists that think you should only use the old-fashioned bows. Some are more friendly to crossbows, all kinds of things like that. But the reason our members support this is very simple, and it makes very good sense. And the committee was, I think, interested in hearing from the ag perspective on this, and surprised to see me stand up. But basically, it's that members are farmers and ranchers who allow a lot of hunting from the public on their property, especially during bow season. They have some out, and a lot of those hunters are successful, but sometimes they miss. And then sometimes it's really hard to find those arrows, and they are unable to find them. And then the next spring or next summer, that farmer finds it with his tractor tire, and that is not a good thing.
It's problematic.
So we went in and supported a bill that would allow the use of lighted nocks and prohibit the Fish and Wildlife Commission from prohibiting them. So that's an interesting little lighthearted bill for the week. We also had, I think, our third of 3 bad road bills this week. Senate Bill 262 is a repeat of a bill from last session that was also heard. Well, the bill from last session. Sorry, I got distracted because I saw that Janet just joined us. Thanks,
Hey, Janet.
Hello.
And Mason, Alina. Hi, ladies.
Oh, hi guys. So, road bill, Senate Bill 262. It's a repeat, almost verbatim, of a bill from last session that was tabled in committee. This one was met with the same fate, but what it would have prevented a landowner from putting up any sorts of diversions, signs, gates, whatever it might be, to keep the public off of a private road if they did not first go to the county commissioners and announce their intent, then go before a public hearing and prove with records or whatever they have to be able to prove that it is indeed a private road. Then the county commission would be essentially set up as judge and jury to look through that information, to also do their own research, and to ask if and to determine if indeed it is a private road. So basically what this bill does is reverse the current burden of proof. Right now, if someone wants to use a road, also I guess it should say that this could apply to any road that appears to meet the criteria of a public road or a prescriptive easement. Well, I argued in testimony, there are a lot of pretty nice farm and ranch roads out there, whether you're using them to transport equipment, your regular road to run back and check water, whatever it might be. Those are often very well maintained, and so someone might make that argument, and this bill, if it were in place, would not allow you to keep the public off of your private road. So it shifts the burden of proof. Currently, if someone wants to use a road, they have to go to the county commission, and the person seeking to use the road, who doesn't actually own the road or the land, has to prove that it is indeed a county road. And there's a process in law that designates how that would happen, and it has worked. There still are a lot of challenges. We heard from the county commissioners; they came in against the bill as well, but they acknowledged that there's a lot of challenges surrounding this issue. So it's probably a conversation we'll continue to have, but thankfully the bill was tabled. So that's about that. Looks like, do we have any questions?
We had some more joiners. Sorry,
Oh.
I think everybody was looking at us a little crookedy. Crookedy, that's a word.
Sure.
Okay, maybe not.
Okay, well, we'll talk about one more bill. We're seeing a lot of more walking back and forth out there in the hallway. I mean, we should go take a peek at what they're doing. But there is well, you've heard us talk about Senate Bill 203 before. What that bill would have done is change the laws related to confiscation of animals. The bill was amended in committee but it did come out. So the amendments did make it a little better, but there's still some really serious consequences in there of how that bill could affect livestock producers if in the future we have the livestock exemption stricken. Also, there's animals that are not covered, such as chickens, and I think the most important one that's not covered would be guard dogs for sheep or goats, I guess, but mostly sheep dogs out there. That if basically the way the bill's written, if somebody saw we'll use guard dogs as an example, out in a pasture doing their job, they could make a complaint. Then law enforcement would be able to confiscate those animals, which they can do now. But after that confiscation is made, under this bill, the owner of those animals would have to post a bond, a renewable bond. And if they are unable to do that, the animals would be turned over to the ownership of the county. That's all before a guilty plea. Let's remember that, or a guilty verdict. So this is really serious. It has bad implications, and it came out of committee, like I said, but it was killed on second reading on the floor yesterday, on the Senate floor. Senator Moore did a great job of illustrating in his comments the problems with the legislation, acknowledging that the counties do have some issues with recouping costs during these kinds of cases, but there's better ways to do that. We've suggested ideas such as, upon a guilty conviction, farmers and ranchers have no tolerance for animal abuse. We say throw the book at him. If it's a guilty plea and the county needs to be reimbursed for care that they've provided to those confiscated animals, then maybe the county should have ways to recoup costs after that, such as possibly a lien on their property, something like that would actually ensure that animals get taken care of and counties get reimbursed. This bill doesn't do that, in our opinion. One reason we're kind of hanging around here is that we've heard that they may possibly move to reconsider, so we'll be watching that closely. They have to do it sometime this morning because they only have 24 hours to do that, and it was on the afternoon board yesterday. So we're watching that closely. We're trying to make sure everybody still feels the same way they did yesterday when it failed to pass on a 23-27 vote. So if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, I might go run. I see some people wandering about.
Lurking.
So I'll go lurk.
I see a bunch more people have joined us, so please let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if you've got any comments. Just as a recap, we've talked about a few bills. We've talked about Senate Bill 247, which was a ban on a class of insecticides known as neonicotinoids, and very important to agriculture, so we oppose that bill. We've talked about Senate Bill 281, which was a bill that reallocated some of the money in the wildfire suppression count. Again, we're very opposed to wildfires, so we support using money to put them out. So that was a good bill.
And stop them from happening.
Yeah. So being proactive about forest management in our state is important. Give us a shout out. Let us know where you're watching from. One other update that I would throw out there is we talked a lot last week about Senate Bill 155, which was we've come to affectionately refer to as the seed bill. And that bill was heard on the Senate floor last week. We've talked about it a little bit. It had a great floor hearing, and it came through the Senate on a 33-17 vote, which we're very happy with that vote. So it is on its way to the House. You probably saw on Facebook, but we had an update earlier to please go and look at that vote count. Find those senators that took the time to vote yes, that took the time to listen to our concerns and to protect agriculture. And please send them a thank you. You can call that Capitol switchboard at 444-4800 and just simply say thanks for your yes vote. Send them an email. Tell them thank you. You guys, that goes so far with legislators, and it's so important because a lot of times we get so focused in on one issue and we're so concerned about getting the outcome that we're desiring that we really forget to follow up. And in fact, Nicole made a really good comment yesterday that manners go a long ways in life, and that's no different in the legislature. So let's all remember our manners. Let's thank them for their hard work and for taking time out of their lives to serve us too. And they really stood up for Montana agriculture on that vote as well. So what other question? We're getting a
maybe that's a sign that it's time for us to sign off.
It might be. Is there anything else? We talked about the road bills and how those were kind of an encroachment on private property rights. And
no, really, not just kind of.
Yeah, true story. So let us know if anybody's got a question. Oh, hey, Mom. Is Farm Bureau taking a position
on HB 189?
Oh, that's a long comment, Mom. Oh, power costs. So, is Farm Bureau taking a position on House Bill 189, clarifying that Public Service Commission approves energy rate increases, and on 196, allowing them to establish incentives for Northwestern Energy to control purchased power costs? Sorry, Mom. We haven't looked at those yet. We haven't taken a position. Our policy book, we have to look at the policy book number one. We don't have a ton of energy policy in our policy book, but it's something that we can look at. So I don't have a good answer. Nicole might have a better answer.
I don't, but we will take a look at those bills and, of course, check policy and tune back in next week and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Oh, one other update real quick. You guys remember House Bill 419, the bison bill, the one bison bill and a bad bison bill of this session. Yes. It was one that would have removed the requirement that before any bison be transported about the state, that they be from Yellowstone National Park, that they be brucellosis free. It would have removed the provision that they had to be brucellosis free. Obviously, a big risk to take and a big threat to the livestock industry, as well as the wildlife of the state. So that bill was tabled in committee yesterday. So that one's done. And maybe that will be the only bison bill of the session, but we will see. Oh, we're gonna get brought up to speed.
I'll call you later,
from
Mom.
Mrs. Kramer. Thank you, Chelsea. Get her lined out. All right. Well, we thank you guys for tuning in. Unless you have any questions, or unless Chelsea has anything to add, I think we're gonna run and see if we can visit with some people before they go back on the floor at 11.
Yeah, we'll try to just loiter here for a few more seconds to let you guys type questions if there are questions. But the Senate is going back on the floor in about 25 minutes, actually. So we do kind of need to get out there and catch some folks. So I guess last call for questions if you want to talk to us live. Otherwise, please, if you're watching the replay, put your questions in the comments. We do watch those. We'll get back to you just as soon as we can. We really appreciate everybody watching and appreciate your questions. What about the next Calling on the Capitol event?
That's going to be here before we know it.
It will be. So we've got Calling on the Capitol happening March 20th and 21st here in Helena. That's open to any Farm Bureau member that wishes to attend. So we would encourage you guys to take advantage of that event. We've got a great agenda planned for you. In addition to that, the Women's Leadership Committee is going to be serving breakfast in the Capitol for legislators on the morning of the 21st. So that's a great opportunity to get some one-on-one time, and another great opportunity just to be thankful to them for the work that they do for us here in Helena and to visit with them on a more personal level. There's information.
And to come visit beautiful buildings like this.
Yeah, we'll take another for everybody that is. So information on that event is on Facebook. You can register online at the website as well, which is www.mfbf.org.
Hi.
Oh,
you're on
whoops.
Facebook Live.
Sorry, I already screwed up. It's March 21st and 22nd, not the 20th and the 21st. So don't listen to me. Read the comments.
I was confused too.
Sorry, everybody. So March 21st and 22nd, be here or else, I guess. I don't know.
Be here, be square.
It's going to be a really fun time. So I hope that everybody will take advantage of that. Also, county presidents, make sure you got registered for the Council of Presidents, March 7th and 8th. I'm pretty positive I didn't screw those dates up, but I know I will find out if I did.
With an exclamation point.
So anyway, make sure you get registered for that as well, please, and take advantage of that opportunity to be in town. So with that, I think that we are going to sign off for this week, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. So thanks for tuning in, and everybody have a great snowy weekend wherever you may be.
Enjoy.
Bye.